In 2023, Idris Elba stood on Ghanaian soil, not as an A-list celebrity, but as a son returning with a vision. His mission? To build a state-of-the-art film studio in Accra, not just for Ghana, not just for West Africa, but for the entire continent, as well as the diaspora. A bold idea, but behind it lies a serious question. Why hasn't Africa, a continent rich in stories, talent, and history, become a global filmmaking powerhouse? Now, I'll be honest, this one hits close to home, because amplifying Africa's voice on the global stage isn't just something I talk about, it's something I've committed my career to. Through storytelling, media, community building, this has always been the mission. And what Idris Elba is proposing is not just a film studio. It's another way to make that mission real, to give Africa the tools, the infrastructure, and the stage to tell its own story, its own way. This is personal, and it should be for all of us. Because if we don't invest in our own narratives, we leave the door open for someone else to tell them for us. And Chimamanda Adichie has reminded us of the danger of a single-sided story, right? Today on The Breakdown, we're looking at Idris Elba's game-changing proposal to transform Ghana into the next global creative hub. What inspired it, what's standing in the way, and what needs to be done to unlock the true potential of Ghana and Africa's film industry. But before we dive in, if you haven't already, please subscribe and join the family, because here on The Breakdown, we go deeper than the headlines, bringing you sharp, grounded analysis and the African perspective on global issues. These conversations are not happening anywhere else. All right, let's get into it. So in early 2023, Idris Elba met with then President Nana Akufo-Addo and laid out what he called a game-changing idea. A film and creative village built on 22 acres of land near the historic Osu Castle in Accra. Not just a studio, but a full ecosystem. Sound stages, training centers, post-production facilities, a pipeline designed to train Ghanaian talent and attract global productions from Hollywood to Nollywood and beyond. And this wasn't just celebrity fluff. Elba was clear. I want to build capacity in Africa. I want to use my platform to create opportunity. Now, it's not entirely clear what happened to that original conversation, but in a recent visit to Ghana, Elba met with the newly elected president, John Mahama, to reignite the proposal.
Your Excellency, we're here to make a presentation to you, but also we're just hoping that this is a conversation. We want to build this with you. I know that you have been very focused and briefed on the creative opportunity and creative sector. And, by way of working with you on Beast of No Nation those many moons ago, we are still very dedicated and focused on bolstering creative sector of Ghana. We had a very fantastic opportunity to locate this land opportunity near Osu to bring what we believe is a very important component of the creative build, is to build the facilities, to have schools, to have a precinct where you can point and say this is where the home of the creative center can be positioned around. And we have done some critical thinking about how we can do that. But it is centered around the schooling and essentially the facilities to create employment, to create a workforce and educate Ghanaian creatives.
So, why Ghana? Well, because it's personal. Elba's mother is Ghanaian. He filmed Beasts of No Nation there during Mahama's first term in office. And Ghana, with its cultural capital, political stability, and global reputation, is uniquely positioned to lead Africa's next creative leap. But there's something even more symbolic about the proposed location. The site sits near Osu Castle, a former colonial fort and UNESCO World Heritage Site one of many along West Africa's coast that once served as holding grounds during the transatlantic slave trade. It has since been forgotten, but this project could breathe new life into the space. Imagine that. A world-class film village rising next to one of the continent's most painful historical landmarks. Hollywood stars flying in to shoot on Ghanaian soil, not just because it's Africa, but because of the infrastructure, the talent, the story. It could be powerful. Yes, it could be historic. But there's a catch, and it came into focus with this headline earlier this year. You may have heard Girls Trip 2, the sequel to the hit 2017 film, was supposed to be shot in Ghana. Keyword, supposed to. But just a few months ago, Regina Hall hinted that the location may change. Why? Because of, and I quote, infrastructure issues. Think about that. Ghana has a rising global reputation, a thriving diaspora engagement strategy, and some of the best cultural exports on the continent. But it still can't host a mainstream Hollywood production? This is exactly the problem Idris Elba's proposal is trying to solve. Now, why does this matter? Well, this isn't just about movies, right? This is about power, narrative power, economic power, cultural power. Africa produces some of the most compelling stories in the world, yet we license our stories to others. We're the content, but not the platform. We inspire blockbusters, but don't own the studios. A well-funded, well-built film hub in Ghana could do a couple of things. Train a generation of African cinematographers, editors, producers, and directors. Keep film investment on the continent. Boost tourism and soft power. Create jobs across sectors, logistics, set design, catering, construction, and shift the narrative from charity to creativity to investment, from dependence to direction. And yes, this is about representation, but it's also about revenue. Because as of now, Africa's film and audiovisual sectors are worth over $5 billion. And that number could quadruple if the right investments are made. The talent is there. The audience is growing. What's missing? Infrastructure, policy, scale. So what's holding us back?
I've been working for 30 years and I'm at a junction now that I can perhaps bring work to where I am, where I want. So in this instance, to be able to bring international work and films that I'm in into our own facility in Ghana, it is important that we are competitively forward-facing when it comes to our policy. So everything from how cameras and things, custom relations, to taxation on certain products, to local labor laws, all of those things are very important to be able to demonstrate. When I say to Apple, I want to shoot in Ghana. They have no reason to say no because most shoots are inside a studio, you don't even know where you are. So if I want to shoot a film that is set in America but in Ghana, it is important that I have a very robust policy and partnership with government to demonstrate that everything is good here. Everything from the insurance of our production to the local labor laws to everything that they need to make that decision.
And there goes the truth. Idris's vision is bold and necessary, but it faces some real challenges. Let's talk about some of them. Number one, infrastructure gaps. There's a reason Girls Trip considered moving. Ghana lacks modern sound stages, high-end production facilities, reliable broadband, and streamlined film permits. Number two, bureaucracy and policy. Unlike countries like South Africa or Morocco, Ghana doesn't have a clear tax incentive or rebate program for international film crews. Also, red tape makes it hard for productions to move quickly. And third, skilled labor shortage. There's raw talent everywhere, but not enough trained editors, VFX artists, or sound engineers. Without investment in education and apprenticeships, the pipeline stays weak. Now let's talk upside. What could this creative village mean for Ghana? How could it benefit the nation? put Ghana on the map as Africa's answer to Pinewood, Paramount, and Tyler Perry Studios. It could anchor regional co-productions between Ghana, Nigeria, and Francophone West Africa. It could attract diaspora creatives who've been looking for a reason to bring their skills back home. And it becomes a hub, not just for film, but for animation, gaming, music videos, and digital storytelling. But more importantly, it would help Africa own its narrative at scale. Because for too long, African stories have been filtered through foreign lenses. Now imagine those stories told by Africans, funded by Africans, produced in Africa, reaching the world on African terms. Imagine the story of Mansa Musa, Ya Santua, Kwame Nkrumah being told by Africans. It could be a complete shift in how the world sees Africa. Now let's zoom out for a second. If Ghana gets this right, if Idris Elba's Film Village becomes a reality, it doesn't just benefit Ghana. It could lay the foundation for a continental creative network. Because here's the thing, Ghana doesn't have to do it alone. Across the border, Nigeria's Nollywood is one of the biggest film industries in the world, not just Africa, in terms of volume and cultural reach. What it doesn't have yet, top-tier post-production infrastructure, global distribution pipelines, or large-scale studio environments that can support Hollywood-level productions. That's where Ghana could come in. A modern studio in Accra could host joint productions between Ghanaian and Nigerian filmmakers. Serve as a regional post-production hub for the entire ECOWAS region. Foster partnerships between Ghana's storytelling tradition and Nigeria's distribution power. Create shared training programs where animators from Kenya, editors from Rwanda, and directors from South Africa come to Ghana to level up. This isn't just about film, guys. It's about building a Pan-African creative economy, one that doesn't compete internally but collaborates strategically. Imagine a Senegalese script filmed in Ghana with a Nigerian cast, edited in Nairobi, and premiered in Joburg. A Netflix-backed African production pipeline that starts and finishes on the continent. Shared funding, shared talent, shared spotlight. That's what this could be. Not just a studio, but a continent-wide creative alliance. Now, let's get real. If Ghana is serious about becoming Africa's creative capital, then government commitment has to go beyond press releases and promises. It needs to show up in policy and in budget lines. That means tax incentives for both local and international film productions. Streamline visa and customs processes for creative professionals and equipment. Dedicated infrastructure funding for studios, training centers, and digital production hubs. Reform of the National Film Commission to support creatives, not just regulate them. But there's one more critical step, and this can't be overlooked. Ghana must align its education and workforce development strategy with this project. Because if this studio gets built and Ghana doesn't have the talent pipeline to support it, then guess what? We'll be importing directors, editors, cinematographers, and crew from outside. And the biggest beneficiaries won't be Ghanaians. So the government needs to bake this into the policy framework from day one. Film and media programs in secondary schools and universities, apprenticeships and technical training tied directly to the studio operations. Incentives for local hiring and talent development. We have some incredibly talented directors in Ghana. Shirley Frimpong-Mansell, Leila Jansi, and so many more. Let's make sure they have an opportunity to direct and co-produce blockbusters that are being produced right in the country. If this is going to work, it has to be built with Ghanaians as the beneficiaries in mind first. Infrastructure is only half the equation, right? The other half is people. And if Ghana can lead on both, hardware and human capital, then this won't just be a win for Idris Elba. It'll be a long-term strategic win for the country and the continent. Second, the diaspora has a role to play in this. We talk a lot about coming home, but let's talk about building home. There are African filmmakers, producers, artists, financiers, and marketers who are scattered across the world, who are ready to invest in projects like this, if the framework is clear. What if the Ghana Film Village became a public-private partnership open to African investors everywhere? What if we had a Pan-African creative fund where citizens could co-own the studio, back films, and share in the profits? Third, let's get strategic with corporate and philanthropic partnerships. Platforms like Netflix, Amazon, and Apple are already investing in African content. Let them invest in African infrastructure too. Global brands love African culture. Time to ask them to back African creators in a serious way. Now, this project doesn't have to be a one-man project. It can be a national, even continental movement. But that requires vision, organization, and collective will. But hey, you play a role in all of this as well. Let's be real. Visionary projects don't just need presidents and policymakers. They need people. They need believers, backers, builders, investors. And that's where you come in, especially those of you in the diaspora. Because this isn't just Idris Elba's vision. It's an opportunity for all of us to shape the creative future of the continent. So how can you support this? Well, if this project becomes a public-private partnership or opens up to equity investments, which I hope it does, we should be ready. Ready with capital, ready with strategy, ready to make the case that the creative economy isn't charity, it's smart business. If we can invest in startups, real estate, and crypto, we can invest in infrastructure that builds Africa's creative voice. Idris Elba's Film Village isn't just a nice idea, it's a necessary one. But here's the truth. We've heard proposals like this before. So what's gonna set this one apart? Ghana has the talent. It has the moment. Now it needs the political will, the business clarity, and the infrastructure muscle to make it happen. Because the next girls trip or the next Wakanda Forever could be made right here in Ghana. The question is, will Ghana rise to meet the moment? Or will we keep watching our stories told by someone else? It's about ownership. It's about legacy. It's about job creation. It's about telling our stories the way they should be told. But it won't happen on passion alone. No, it needs government support, collaboration across borders, investment with intention, and the courage to build for the long term. From the look of it, President Mahama seems receptive to the idea, and that's a great start. Because when leadership aligns with vision and vision aligns with strategy, transformation becomes possible. And if we do this right, Ghana won't just be a filming location. It'll be the headquarters of Africa's creative renaissance. And this could easily spill over into other industries as well, the music industry, the arts. So the benefits could be mind-blowing. So now I turn it over to you. Do you think Ghana could become Africa's Hollywood? What needs to happen to make it real? And would you invest in this project if there's an opportunity to? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if this deep dive got you thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. I'm Sandra Babu-Boateng. Until next time, take care. Hey you! Thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and join the family. Also, visit face2faceafrica.com for your daily news and updates on what's going on within the global Black community so you can stay informed.